Well, hello guys, and it seems that my computer is actually a portal to the future, and they send files back into it with some curious recordings, and this is one of them. Right now, I really have a hard time ascertaining what use I can put this to. Doesn't seem any advantage in, like I said, the stock market or areas I should invest, or even a technological breakthrough I could try to patent from this, but we'll keep trying. If you guys study the footage and find something which you think you can apply, feel free to. I have no copyrights. Oh, I don't know if I have any copyrights on this footage or not. But anyway, that brings me sort of to the topic of today's discussion, which is why you shouldn't believe me. Now, I'm going to be doing a couple videos later on, and probably a lot more in the future, of sort of more philosophical and moral topics. And I just feel like I sort of need to do a discussion on worldviews and basic bias, which you're going to experience with just about anyone. Or I would put to you that even the most honest person that you know cannot be completely trusted. And so you need to be aware. So now look at this picture of me. Is this the face of an honest person? Perhaps it's the face of a liar or a psychopath. It's sort of hard to tell. The smile is suspect, and of course the bicolored beard. I could be a Seahawks fan, which I claim to be, or I could be a Joker wannabe and planning to become a mass murderer. I like to think that I'm honest. And when I speak about a topic, I'll try to be as genuine as I possibly can. But this face is the face of 30 years of experience, which has built prejudices in that I'm not even aware of. When you hear me talk about something, you're hearing my genetics, my innate intelligence, the impact of my parents, my siblings, my friends, and the people, like in my case, grandparents, who weren't even there in my life at all. The media I've been exposed to, society in general, and even the tragedies and deaths that have happened in my life. You're hearing the after effects of my nutrients, the climate that I was born in, and where I was raised, and the fact that I'm white, and how people in general interact with me because of my race. When you hear me speak, all these things have distilled over 30 years into my present worldview. And so everything that I say, and all the facts that I study, are filtered through this worldview before I even say them to you. So you really need to be discerning, because I am not unbiased about anything. Let's just say, take for example, the dogs in general. My opinion on dogs is that if they're well-trained, large dogs, I generally like them, as long as they don't jump on me, slobber on me, or stink too bad. But if it's a small yappy dog which makes incessant noise, I will want to punt it to the nearest window. It would be an added bonus if that window was an airlock into outer space. And of course, all these opinions of mine probably has nothing to do with the merit of dogs in general, or the merit of this dog individually. If a dog is small and yappy, my initial instinct upon seeing it will be dislike. And there's several factors in this probably. When I was a small child, I was bit in the face by a small dog, fairly badly, and made my entire face swell up until it was sort of a sphere and you couldn't see my nose anymore. And when I was growing up, my parents raised some small Lhasa Apsos basically for money. When you have a large chorus of tiny dogs, you open the door and you're deafened by all the tiny yapping, and it drove me nuts. And then of course you have the under genetic things, which people think that it's like an innate genetic trait, sort of like your eye color, whether or not you're a dog or a cat person. And so I don't think that's really that. I think it's much more a product of your environment and dogs and cats you've known in your life. And of course, I had some dogs that I loved and some I didn't. But the factor is that my point of view on dogs is not unbiased at all. And interestingly, if I'm forced to make a decision regarding dogs, like whether or not a dog should be put down, or the policy of dogs in a park, and whether or not people should be forced to pick up the dog poo after the dogs, or all these other things, is completely determined by my past experience and all these other factors. And I'm a biased source. I mean, if I was going to give some kind of have input on a law regarding dogs, I think I would try to do research. But even if I do my research, I still have these innate biases, which are going to prevent me from making a perfectly level-headed and unbiased judgment on the matter. And so I think it's really important to whenever you're doing research on any topic, whenever you're listening to someone and looking at what they have to say about any topic, you have to try to understand where they come from and what their basic bases and their biases and whether or not they're even trying to be honest. There are some people who being honest is not important to them. Being right is more important, or pushing their agenda is more important to them than perfect honesty. And so with that person, you have another level of, you not only have to try to decipher what their innate biases are, you have to try to decipher if at that particular moment they are trying to deceive you, because some people actively are. And then of course you have the extra challenge of fighting that innate tendency to automatically latch on to ideas and facts which support your side. And this is something which everyone has to fight. You've made up your mind about an issue, or you have a preset position, and then whenever you hear facts, whenever you hear anything that supports it, you just like, that's awesome, that's right. And then whenever you hear something which is sort of contradictory, you want to brush it aside or find a reason why, or have an odd ad hominem argument or something which basically attacks the person's character because they're disagreeing with you, even though their particular, whether or not they had an affair with so-and-so doesn't have any bearing whether or not they know if the climate is warming or cooling. And of course, and then you have the people with huge vested interest who, a monetary interest, or they're trying to justify themselves. And there's as many reasons for a source being biased as there are people in the world and actions that they have performed. I would hate to have anyone just take everything I said as true without researching it a little bit, or at least making sure I was a consistent straight shooter in the past. And I think a lot of people do that, where they have a really small sample size on any given topic, and they allow themselves just to be misled and make off-the-cuff decisions about random, very important issues. So, every issue is very complex, and I've generally discovered that we like to oversimplify because we like to understand something, and we like to be able to have an opinion on it. But I think the vast majority of subjects, the vast majority of humans, don't really have enough information to have a strong, reliable, and informed opinion on. So you have to figure out who you're going to trust. And I think especially on moral issues and things like religion and ethics, people are going to be incredibly biased. And of course that's the area I'm going to be delving into. So you sort of need to know my background. I was raised in a Christian home, but didn't become a Christian myself until much later in life. And of course, there is that whole influence on my life. But I would have to say that after quite a bit of study on the topic, I have been intellectually convinced that Jesus Christ is God, that he really did come and die and rise from the dead. And that seems like a pretty outrageous thing to say. So, of course, if you have any questions on those topics, I would love to talk about it. It'd be awesome to have a discussion. And so, I'm running out of time. So, until next time, guys, I hope you have an excellent week, and be sure you learn something. Research, study, expand the old brain. And if you have any topics you want me to discuss, add them in the comments. And, of course, if you have any song which you wish me to sing, also add in the comments. See you guys later.